Putin warned that a continuation of the current trend of violence could threaten Ukraine's independence. On Tuesday, Russian President Vladimir Putin warned that the ongoing aggression might deal an irreparable blow to Ukraine's independence and assured that Russia would never give up its territorial gains. The request of President Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine. Putin made his remarks on television the day after Switzerland agreed to hold a worldwide meeting. Putin scoffed at the prohibitive demands included in the so-called peace formulas that are being debated in the West and Ukraine. Well, if they don't want to negotiate, then don't, he concluded. Not only did Ukraine's counteroffensive fail, but the initiative is now squarely with the Russian military. The Ukrainian cause of statehood might take a devastating, perhaps fatal, hit if this trend continues. Putin has been sounding more and more certain and forceful in his assessments of the war's trajectory in the past few months, as the counteroffensive launched by Ukraine has failed to make any headway against the well-entrenched Russian forces. As of the now, 17.5% of Ukraine is under Russian control. Attempts to encourage us to give up the progress we have made over the last year and a half, according to Putin, are behind the discussion of negotiations. However, this is not feasible. The impossibility of this is obvious to everyone. Zelensky has proposed a peace formula that includes, among other things, the return of Ukrainian territory, an end to hostilities, and the removal of Russian forces from the conflict. The new realities brought about by Russia's ground forces must be considered in any negotiations, according to Russia. President Volodymyr Zelensky's request. Switzerland will hold a global peace summit on Ukraine on Monday. Since neutral Switzerland has experience mediating disputes, it may be able to assist in ending the crisis that broke out after Russia invaded Ukraine on February 24, 2022. At the request of the Ukrainian president, Switzerland has agreed to host a summit on the peace formula, according to the administration. Further details are now being worked out. At a news conference in Bern with his Swiss counterpart Viola Amherd, Zelensky hinted about who he wanted to attend the proposed peace summit but did not disclose a detailed list of participants. "We are open to all countries that respect our sovereignty and territorial integrity at the peace summit, so draw conclusions about who we invite," said Zelensky. "We would like the global south to be present. It is important for us to show that the whole world is against Russia's aggression, and the whole world is for a just peace." When asked when and where in Switzerland the summit might be held, neither Zelensky nor Amherd gave any specifics. According to them, it would be organized by their teams starting on Tuesday. Zelensky was in Davos, Switzerland, to attend the World Economic Forum and meet with other global leaders. Premier Li Qiang of China is also in Davos this week and is among the dignitaries he could meet. On Sunday, Ukraine emphasized the critical importance of Beijing's participation in peace talks. On Monday, Zelensky expressed his desire for Beijing to participate, citing China as an important ally of Russia and noting that Beijing plays a big role globally. "We would very much like China to be involved in our peace formula, as well as in the summit," according to him. But not everything depends on our wishes. At a meeting of the Group of 20 Main Economies in November, Zelensky initially revealed his peace formula. Restoring Ukraine's territorial integrity, ending hostilities, releasing all captives and detainees, and withdrawing Russian soldiers are all parts of his peace proposal. Russian President Vladimir Putin's statement on Monday downplayed the significance of the Davos peace talks, claiming that Russia's absence would render them fruitless. The editors are Alison Williams and the reporters are John Reville from Bern, Gabriel Tetralf-Farber from Geneva, and Yulia Dysa from Gdansk, Ukrainian. President Volodymyr Zelensky claimed at Tuesday's World Economic Forum that Vladimir Putin is effectively testing the waters in Ukraine in order to maintain world supremacy through force. In his address to world leaders at the Davos conference, Zelensky claimed that Putin has used conflict to bring about change in the world, whether in Africa, Syria, or Ukraine, and that he has no intention of changing. He claimed that in order to control and confront him, the world must evolve. "Putin embodies war," Zelensky made the statement during the conference. "He is the very reason why various wars and conflicts persist and the reason why all attempts to restore peace have failed. If anyone thinks this is only about us, this is only about Ukraine, they are fundamentally mistaken." Despite criticism, Zelensky insisted that Russia has been pressuring Ukraine to intensify the conflict, suggesting that Moscow may have been weakened by Ukraine's more forceful response. More severe and robust sanctions against Russia should be imposed, he said. Full force of the sanctions could have forced Putin to concessions, added Zelensky. Because of "don't escalate," time was lost and the lives of many of our most experienced warriors, who have fought since 2014, have been lost. While Russia is undoubtedly a tough opponent, Zelensky emphasized that they are not invincible and that the country is bravely fighting back with the support of Western military weapons. The takeaway is obvious. The general public mistakenly believed that Russia possessed interceptable missiles. Zelensky claimed that Patriot missiles destroyed everything in their path. He claimed that if Ukraine had more weaponry, it could become the dominant power in the Black Sea and better withstand Russian airstrikes. On X, Zelensky said that he had meetings with U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and President Ursula von der Leyen of the European Commission to advocate for increased assistance for Ukraine in its conflict with Russia. Zelensky announced that he and von der Leyen had agreed to begin vetting Ukraine's laws as the country approaches the practical start of EU accession negotiations. We focused on the need to unblock the decision to provide Ukraine with $54.4 billion in long-term EU assistance at the February 1 summit. According to Zelensky, he conveyed the significance of U.S. assistance for Kyiv during his discussion with Blinken and National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan. He discussed the present situation on the battlefield with both of them. We count on continued U.S. support, which is essential for our country, added Zelensky. We also talked about further defense cooperation between Ukraine and the U.S., with a particular emphasis on air defense and long-range capabilities. During his address at the World Economic Forum on Tuesday, January 16, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky emphasized the need for the West to stand together in order to halt Russia's aggression and the individual responsible for it. War personified is Putin. Everybody knows he is the one and only cause of the ongoing conflicts and wars, and that no amount of effort to end them has succeeded because he refuses to change. Something has to give, according to Zelensky. The Western world's reluctance to fully support Kyiv out of concern about a possible escalation in the conflict is wasting time and could add years to the length of the conflict, even though Russia had already invaded on a full scale over 2 years earlier. Zelensky was adamant that the war should not be stopped along its present lines. Anyone who believes this is solely centered around Ukraine or us is utterly misguided. Russian action outside Ukraine could take several forms, and the timetable for them is unclear. On a day jam-packed with meetings in Davos, Zelensky was the guy in demand. Priority number one on his list is resolving the political impasses in Brussels and the United States Congress over the issue of Western aid. A number of high-ranking American officials, including Secretary of State Antony Blinken, met with the Ukrainian leader and came out of a meeting with Ursula von der Leyen, President of the European Commission, in a positive mood. "Sir, how was the meeting, President Zelensky?" "Thank you." Following his address, Zelensky disclosed that he had gotten positive signals regarding the unlocking of EU financial assistance. And he anticipated the United States would authorize more aid in the coming weeks. The symposium is happening at a time when the Ukrainian military is on the defensive in the south and east of the country, after they were unable to break through Russian defensive lines during a big counteroffensive last year. Resolving artillery shortages on the front and modernizing the conscription effort are currently the top priorities for Ukraine.